us to embrace dialogue as a way of resolving socio-political differences in the country. The Catholic bishops expressed concern at the standoff between the Azimio One Kenya and Kenya Kwanza coalitions on bipartisan talks just hours before leaders from the two camps announced that they had started an engagement that would take a more formal tone next week. The bishops asking leaders and Kenyans at large to refrain from demonstrations which they termed as destructive and instead focus on engaging in dialogue. As Lilian Mully reports, the bishops commended President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga for agreeing to talk.
The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops has challenged politicians to embrace non-violent means of resolving differences and called on Kenyans to refrain from demonstrations which lead to violence, destruction of property and loss of lives. The bishops stressed on the need to include religious leaders in dialogue, saying they have played a significant role in achievements realized in the country before and during the electioneering period.
We therefore wish to encourage all parties and citizens at large to refrain from destructive demonstrations and instead commit themselves to the path of dialogue.
The religious leaders expressed concern at the hardline stance from the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio One Kenya camps.
We must raise an alarm that what happens when antagonism hardened their hearts and allow pride and stubbornness to close any avenue of peace that comes about through constructive dialogue.
They called on the political class to avoid uncompromising views which could easily deteriorate to a destructive aftermath that would affect Kenyans who are already suffering from the high cost of living.
We therefore urge all our leaders to use a non-violent means in resolving these conflicts.
The bishops also calling for respect for court decisions, saying the Supreme Court had pronounced itself on the outcome of the election and saying that disagreements with court rulings ought to be pursued legally.
As a constitutional democracy, we have to respect court decisions, and where one disagrees, he or she should seek a non-violent legal review of the judgment.
The bishops urged the government to offer tax relief on basic items to cushion poor Kenyans.
We call on the government to speed up measures to address the high cost of living and ensure that the tax regime does not hurt the common mwananchi who is already suffering from excessive taxation.
According to the bishops, the recent Supreme Court ruling which gave a right to the LGBTQ community to register associations was a result of the wrong interpretation of the law.
We therefore call for a constitutional amendment to strengthen our cultural and religious values on marriage and family.
The bishops challenged the controversial ruling, saying constitutional amendments would protect Kenyan culture. Lilian Mully, Citizen TV.